right, so we have come back. For folks who are following along with us, y'all gonna catch this. It's like November for us, for you guys that are in the future. So we had a little bit of a rest. It was pretty cool. It was good. It was good to kind of like let your brain stretch for a second and breathe for a bit.
Yeah.
So how did everybody's week go?
Restful.
That's good. Yeah, I kind of didn't peel myself off the couch for 3 days straight. Monday? Pretty much started Monday. I just laid on the couch, and I feel like I only got up around Thursday. Yeah.
I was off Thursday, and we didn't go anywhere or do anything. Friday evening or Friday morning, we got snacks or whatever that we wanted, so that we could, veg out on that day that we didn't have to go anywhere. And I also this week did a read over / rewrite of my first book that's no longer published, and I think the plan is to eventually republish it. I don't know when, so but I
very nice
to get that out someday. So I'll let y'all know when it comes out, because I am determined to have at least 3 books out by 2029.
Yeah. How are adventures your side, Sunday?
Things are stressful, honestly. I am in between jobs on my second job. Well, like, I still have one, but in between for me means like I'm planning my exit and entrance strategy from one to another. And then my main job, it's coming into winter time where the weather could impact my business, but before that can even cause me a problem, electronics are causing me an issue. And so not being able to work consistently is a humongous struggle. So dealing with that is never any fun. The poker is, can you call that amazing? I have such a fun time playing poker, and I've got such a huge support system around it. The downswings, in and of themselves are also difficult. So your girl just out here putting myself through all kinds of turmoil. Most of it is self-induced. So
I understand. I'm also going through kind of like some ups and downs of my endeavors. And yeah, it can be stressful, but I'm encouraging you both. It's going to be awesome. This happens. You got to just keep on going. Keep going forward.
Come up with this one thing. Like, I had been asking you about, and I'm curious to know what people's thoughts are, because if this is like a trash idea, somebody please let me know. But when people wish me a happy Thanksgiving, and I just feel very awkward because it's like the origins of the holiday are pretty cruel and gruesome, and the true meaning of the season and things are rarely spoken about publicly. And so I was on the phone and somebody said, "Happy Thanksgiving." And I said, no, they said, "Did you have a happy Thanksgiving?" I said, "It was a wonderful indigenous remembrance." And so, yeah, that's something that I am playing with the language on, just so that I can be paying tribute to fellow citizens who that day is that is not some kind of happy, and we should just be all joyous about remember where that came from and how awful that was.
Yeah. I mean, it has 2 origins. It was appropriated to celebrate the slaughter of people. But what it was appropriated from was the Celtic, more witchcrafty holiday. It basically what Solemn is for Halloween. They took that feast part of the festival and made it a whole nother holiday. So there's layers to it. So before they conquered America, conquered the northern part of the other parts of UK, that they totally stripped down with their culture and everything. The culture that they had a festival for giving thanks. So, and then they took it and turned it into what they wanted instead of making it a part of their celebrations. So like on the witchy side, I do kind of want to celebrate, but I already celebrated in more with the Halloween season than with the November type thing. And then also it's totally right because they did use something that was positive to celebrate something negative. So I don't have anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong with your response. Like just saying that there is other things that people do recognize that day and just informing people that there is more to it than just the commercialization and lies. Because it's all lies at the end of the day, like both aspects of it. There's just lies.
Thank you for sharing because I was aware of the Halloween connection, but I had not heard that about Thanksgiving as well. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that extra download.
Yeah, part of Solemn is having a feast of seasonal produce. And
Nice.
and it looks a lot like what and they decorate with the seasonal things with the colors of the fall and everything. It look the aesthetically it looks the same because they just appropriate it.
Yeah. The ridiculous feast is wild to me because Americans only think about the food part. They don't think about like the actual history. Well, if they do think of the history, they think about the propagandized history, the whitewashed lie about it. I spent a portion of Thursday to watch a day of mourning and remembrance stream. And yeah, you know, it's indigenous people who actually they keep record of the major massacre that is connected to, and then they remember the several other Indian massacres that happened because of the US military and Western expansion and all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's good to remember. And this is going to be like what I've recognized. This is going to be something that's going to keep happening. I've had several friends to educate people. People are like, oh, I didn't know that. And a lot of those people just don't further their education, or they're not curious. They don't investigate. And that's just kind of the American way. It's like, here's this horrible lie that's underneath your celebrations in virtually every one of them. They just like, oh, I don't want to think about that.
Right. It's like, don't you
And
want
it's so
pepper?
frustrating.
Hey, anytime I've mentioned it, they're like, well, you gonna eat, right? Don't you want to eat? just
Like you can eat any day. And what they want is this gross celebration of excess. People go broke for these stupid meals. You know what I mean? We're not celebrating abundance. We're celebrating greed and excess.
And
And that's the American way.
don't even get me started on the feasting part and all of the animals that are needlessly created and then slaughtered in order to make that happen. And that is one of the real reasons that I got so soured from participating in that particular holiday, trying to enjoy my family. But when I make lifestyle choices that are different than what their current lifestyle is and remains to be, I can't be just accepted. There's like this nature of like a making fun of, and I'm sure there's a better word for that, but they try to make themselves feel comfortable with the changes that I am making by making fun,
Oh
bullying.
yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's the word. By bullying me. And fortunately, that stopped a couple years ago by way of my sister finding out that it was happening. And I don't know what that girl did, but y'all should stay out her way when it comes to her sister. So she is not playing with y'all.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the episode. We're about 11 minutes in. And there's some fun stuff to cover here.
yeah, that holidays. So those are side missions we could do.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, imagine trying to do like some of the ways that sci-fi shows and movies will represent holidays.
Well, Christmas is coming
That
up. We can always just go through Doctor Who.
there's Doctor Who, there's the Star Wars Christmas. I think Star Trek does a Christmas thing. Yeah. I think maybe an episode somewhere.
Maybe somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who
All right. So
Christmas episode.
Oh, yeah, I feel like you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a big part of Doctor Who. Like, he knows Santa Claus. Like, that's his buddy.
Right. That's his that's his homie. They go back. All right, so today we're looking at episode 13 of season 5, entitled "The Core is Mother, the Core is Father." And this was an interesting episode because primarily the episode was focused on Psi Corps and specifically Bester. And it wasn't in the way that the show normally portrays Bester. Bester is usually seen as a nuisance. You know, he's a space Nazi. He usually shows up on the station with his own agenda. Whatever his agenda is going to foil whatever plans that the main characters have, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one was so different. And I got to applaud it because the show, to me, it was a good example of why the writing of this entire series is so hailed, right? What it reminded me of is this is what a show, a B5 spinoff show about telepaths would look like if J. Michael Straczynski was given full reign. Because it came across like a crime procedural, kind of, but there was the underlining agenda of what the Psi Corps had in general. And then all the side characters that came along with it. Mel, you pointed out there was only like 2 of the main characters that popped up, which was Franklin and Zach.
Yeah.
It was done so well. Great storytelling. Everything was done so well. So we start off, we're at Psi Corps Central, and Bester is meeting the director. His name is Drake, which is kind of wild because I thought Bester was really high up. I didn't think about people who are above him.
Right.
And so there's this person, Director Drake. They seem to have a really cool friendship or relationship, but Drake is like the one in charge. They are like a shoulder and shoulder on certain things. So Bester is introduced to his interns, Lauren and Chin. And I am so confused about Chin's name because he has a Chinese first name and a Japanese last name. And I think that implies, a blended family.
Well, what you want to do is be cautious before Orion come across the table on your ass.
Oh my God. Right.
Well, and he could be American too. Like,
yeah.
just somewhere along the line, somebody got married somewhere, and or wait, what did you say his last name was?
His first name is Chin. And his last name is Hikaru.
Hikaru. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that alone. I think this is an interesting that's an interesting wrinkle to add to the episode. They're giving the characters a lot of story without saying anything about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It reminds me of the question of the female Jim Hadar in the new Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Bester is walking through the halls of Psi Corps. You see all of the Psi Corps propaganda. It stands out as blaring. It reminds me kind of like of the imagery of 1984, where there's all these reminders, these propaganda posters and signs that are reminding people that they're what kind of society they're part of.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also reminding you, like, okay, Psi Corps is not just a division in EarthGov that can have certain types of implications. They're a cult.
Mm-hmm.
And their propaganda is to themselves. They're brainwashing other telepaths. And there might be something behind this because in this episode, we notice the big issue is the telepath is on the run. So they have to contend with that. But they are contending with reminding themselves, we got to keep ourselves in line so we can keep the mundanes out of our business.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing goes all the way back to season 1. Like, telepaths are a second class in this world. They're oppressed. They're hated. And so they often stand out. And the ones that are trying to stay in line with the rules, they stand out even more.
Yeah. The whole the thing on the walls reminds me of religious organizations too, especially like the Mormon, the Scientologists. They always have like the picture of the mountain that the spirits came from the other planet to come here and and Mormons, I forgot what their imagery was. It's the temple, They always have pictures of their temples and their homes and stuff, so that they're always reminded that they have to that's God's house and God is always looking over you.
I think that it was very weird to like see such plain imagery that is brainwashing them. And as Damien's talking, I'm thinking to myself, like, what kind of wild propaganda am I so like washed in that it doesn't even seem unusual or strange to me? Because I have been, working really hard with bucking against the system and, trying to observe and be aware of like the different types of oppression and like privilege and making sure that I'm breaking down my colonized mind. But just to see that, it's like, oh my goodness, like how very oblivious am I to something like that? Because it just seems normal and natural to them. But from an outsider looking in, it's like, yo, that is wildly problematic.
Yep. So Bester agrees to let the interns accompany him, and they're talking about the whole B5 situation. They know that Bester goes to Babylon 5 to handle business, and they know that Babylon 5 does not like him. And they're like, oh, well, they make it very unfriendly. And it's so funny because it's Bester who shows up being a little asshole every time he shows up on Babylon 5. But the telepaths, they have sympathy for him.
They treat him like he's some kind of movie star or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are fanboying all over him.
Yes, they are.
Bester submitted his report, and he leaves the young telepaths. He leaves them with the young telepaths, and he tells a couple of dumb jokes or whatever, and then he tells like this anecdote about oh gosh, I can't remember what the story was about. I'm sorry, but it was a way for them to it's a way to disparage mundanes, basically. So we get to see that scene, and then we switch away and we see that there is this black man who's an unstable telepath, and he is talking to himself and he is mumbling to himself very erratically. And we find out that he had killed someone in the room that he's in. And we also learn that he is about to head towards Babylon 5. So now the show starts and the mystery or the chase ensues, right? So we see Bester and his interns there. They observe a telepathic exercise, and I thought this was really interesting. The exercise is that two telepaths are exchanging deep scan attacks. One is attacking, one is resisting, and then they're supposed to switch or whatever. And this is explained to be something that's necessary. They both have to be ruthless and empathetic as psychops. To me, this sounds like the way that Bester justifies his behavior and actions. Like, he sees himself as being ruthless, yes, and he enjoys that part, but he also believes that he's being empathetic. We'll see how that turns out by the end of this episode.
Well, he's being the other psychics.
Yeah.
By teaching them to be able to withstand what can come at them,
like the attacks. Yeah. And then he puts on a testimonial video, which is a propaganda video. It's a telepath. I think his name is Gordon. It's a telepath that talks about how they show a picture of him. He looked homeless. His hair was super long and disheveled. He was on the run. Basically, he was a rogue telepath that was on the run, and he was captured by Psi Corps, and then he was able to turn his life around and become an upstanding citizen because of Psi Corps.
When they interrupted that video and the guy was like, just getting good, I'm like, oh my goodness. That was so awful.
Yeah. When they interrupt them, this is where Bester is informed that the other telepath had killed someone, and then they're like, okay, we got to jump into action. For this part, this is all we're in the Psi Corps headquarters on Earth, so it's all internal. So it's not a widespread emergency that there's a rogue telepath other than the Psi Corps folks, because I think he escaped from Psi Corps. Mm-hmm. So that's what's going on. So later that night, Bester is hanging out with Lauren Ashley, and they're talking about the death, and they're very disturbed about it. and he reassures her like, hey, you know, we know what we're doing. Then she starts to get real sweet on him. She's talking about like, hey, do you I see that you're married, so you got somebody waiting for you? And Bester's like, yes, I do. We have a residence that she stays at, and I visit every once in a while. So this is like us learning more about Bester's lady, who was the telepath that was turned by the shadows, and she's undergoing treatment on Earth. She probably still has severe issues going on, and he can't like spend a ton of time with her. Also, he's a Psi Corps. He's a psychop.
Yeah, he's also married.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
And-
a arranged marriage.
I thought that she was a psychical, a psychoc. Like she was one of the popsicle psychic.
She was, but they remember they sent her back to Earth. Bester, in that conversation with Sheridan shares that she wasn't one of the ones loaded up on the ships, and that she is going to be released to Earth after all of their court-martialing stuff.
Yeah, but she's the one he's in love with. But he also has a wife. Because Psi Corps arranges marriages so that they can have babies that are guaranteed to be stronger. Their whole geneticist thing. So they can
shoot, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, that adds a whole new wrinkle on this. That explains something because in this conversation, when he says it a couple of times to Lauren Ashley, hey, I'm spoken for, but then he makes sure to tell her like, hey, I want you to understand something. I am spoken for. You did nothing wrong, but the instant my status changes, you will be the first to know.
Yeah. But like the marriages that they have are
they're arranged.
They have the arranged marriages, but they can also like actually have feelings for each other. But that doesn't
that's right.
do with their marriages. Like it's a whole nother culture type thing. And it kind of reminds me of like the aristocrats during like the 1500s, where they would marry someone because of diplomatic reasons and then have a mistress on the side, like what's her name? The one that supposedly did not actually say let them eat cake, but everyone knows her for that phrase.
Marie Antoinette.
Is
that who that is?
She was the mistress of the king, and that was just normal. Like you're married, but you're not actually in a relationship with your spouse. You can have someone on the side that's you're in your relationship, despite all the fact these kingdoms were under the Catholic Church. But anyway. Yeah.
So anyway, he's just letting her know, like, hey, I'm shutting you down, but it's not that you don't have a chance. I just gotta, maneuver some things. This also came across to me as this is Bester rejecting her, but also setting it up to where he can manipulate her later. Because he realized like, oh, she's attracted to me, so I can use that
for some reason.
And and the thing is, like, we don't see much development there until like the last scene, but it would be interesting if this episode had like a part 2 or a continuation to where we get to see the manipulations of Bester take hold in this relationship. But, just a little something that was standing out. So the director, Drake, he informs Bester that Harris is heading to Babylon 5. You need to go pick him up. This is an internal issue. This is a family issue. But we need to handle this our way so the mundanes can leave us the hell alone. It's kind of like him and Bester, they share like the same mind on these things.
That was when they were asking, like, well, if we know that they're going, did they know that he was on his way to Babylon 5 at that conversation that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was asking, well, if we know where he's going, why don't we just tell them and then they can apprehend him and not worry about it. And he gave a pretty good explanation. It's like, one, mundanes are not going to be able to stop one of us that's on the run, like they're inferior.
Right.
Which is a pretty good point because like he was like a P12 or some shit. Like he mad powerful out here. So.
Well, that's the thing because we learned because Bester keeps saying like he's a P10, but I don't know if he's lying or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They find out later that he's one of his other personalities is a P12.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, that's correct. All right, we over here spoiling it. It's all good. So yeah, and also in a briefing, we learned that Harris is he's very dangerous rogue telepath because he was trained in attack probes. He's a mind shredder, which there goes one of those dumb names given to people in this show, but whatever.
Shit, heel shredder.
What is it? Razor face or taser face? Come on,
Taser face.
everyone just laughed.
Yeah. What? Taser face. It's terrifying. So Bester and the interns, they leave to go to Babylon 5. There's a portion in the episode I want to highlight that I thought was amazing. Some really good experimental camera work. Bester is on Babylon 5 and he is staring in a mirror and he puts his hand to the mirror. The camera goes to the mirror and then it pans over to his face to where you can't see, you only see kind of like his profile. And then it turns and it turns back and in the mirror is Harris. So it's kind of like a mind meld type of thing where he is reaching out, and the Harris character is the reflection of Bester, and they have a brief conversation. I was a tad bit confused because I'm like, is he communicating with him? But I think this was more of him like getting into his detective mode, like trying to figure out like, why are you here? What are you doing? You know what I mean? I don't think it was really him communicating with him. I think it was him having an imaginary conversation.
Yeah.
But I thought that the portion was so cool the way they did it.
Yeah. It's a psychic meditation.
Yeah. The fun part was when they board the station, who is it that they run into first?
That.
Yep.
That? Okay.
Yep. They run into Zach. That's one of our major characters. And Zach really just does not like Bester being there. And the interns, they clock it. It was like, he really doesn't like us, do he? What did we ever do? And Bester's like, you'll never know with these mundanes.
Yeah, because they love him. Like, they look up to him. And then see Babylon 5 be like, why are you here?
Yep. And I think, well, something happens later and they revisit that. Down below, we see that Harris, he's not very put together. He has long dreadlocks. Like in that mirror scene, he had like this really tight cut hair, and down below he has dreadlocks, and he looks, he's not the best dressed.
I thought his hair was in a ponytail.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Am I tripping?
Because I could see the little
Okay.
tail at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
But
he had his hair up.
It was very clean looking. Whereas that's like his hair's flying all over the place when he's out, which is what they did with the other guy in the propaganda.
Yep, his hair is all disheveled and yeah. So we find Harrison down below. He wins at gambling, and this is something that's kind of wild if you think about it. And I thought it would be funny to share with Sunday because he's a telepath and he's like blatantly using his powers to cheat, but he's cheating these people at these table games, these cash games. And the loser of the game, he is pissed off. He's like, I know you're cheating and I need you to give me my money back. And Harris is like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I want it fair square. And the dude attacks him, and Harris immediately turns on his telepath powers and he kills the guy. And I thought it was an interesting depiction of how he killed him because he looks like he's writhing in pain, but then you look at his eyes kind of glaze over, like a gel is filling him and stuff, and then he falls down dead. Harris walks off, and we see in the background, it's revealed another person witnessed this murder, and he starts following him. So this is all starting to build up. It's getting more and more intriguing.
Yeah, well, I don't advise that you cheat in gambling. It's frowned upon. And that's a very real depiction of what could end up happening to you. You try to cheat people out of their money.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a TikTok video where it looked like Texas Hold'em was going on, and it was like, I don't know if it was a casino, but it was like a more official type of game. And yeah, bro just was getting mopped in his face, just getting beat up. It was so wild.
I mean, because if you think about it, even casinos, as professional as they can look, they were started by mobsters and criminals, and not to say that I have a problem with people or that I have a negative look on them, because the society is putting people in these situations where when they're doing something that they think is completely okay, but just because society says that it's wrong, until society can find a way to profit from it, they're labeled all these negative things. But you do have to be careful, because these are the criminals, and they've just legalized their criminal activity. That don't change their character behind who you're dealing with. So tread lightly.
Yeah, you're gonna get beat up. That's what you're gonna get a nice talking to by security. So we see Bester. He's in the halls, and he's talking to one of the Drazi. He gets information of where Harris's quarters are located. So him and the interns, they go to the quarters and they stop, and they're wondering what's going on. And Bester's like, okay, check it out. Here's his quarters. I need to go talk to security so I can get access. We can't just walk in there. We got to do this the right way. So Bester walks off, and Chin goes like, all right, I got this. We're going to go in. Mm-hmm. He pulls out a key card that looks like it's connected to some device to where he can hack it. He hacks his way in. Basically, he disables the lock on the door. The door doesn't open automatically, and the lights don't come on. So they push the door open. The reason why is he wanted to show initiative. He wanted to impress Bester. Like, I can do this, right? Because remember, they want to be future psychops. So they're taking part in espionage. They want to show what kind of skills they got, right? They walk in illegally to these quarters. And the first thing that happens is Chen trips, and he turns over and he comes face to face with another dead body. Boom. 2 dead bodies. 1 telepath. Mystery gets even deeper. We see that Zach is with Bester, and Zach notes that Harris likely killed the man for his ID and money. And Bester also is, really kind of confused. Like, I don't know why he would resort to murder. Maybe he was being harassed or something. And the body in the hallway, that person got kicked out of that casino or that bar. And Bester is like, I can't think of any way that this is connected to Harris, right? And then when they find out, when they leave that whole situation, basically Bester is keeping it like super casual.
Oh,
yeah, super professional, super casual. He's very stoic about it. Like, in other words, like, he's not showing any alarm over the murder itself.
Yeah,
he's just like, yeah, I don't see, this has nothing to do with our guy. And then he leaves. He goes, and he's talking to Lauren. He's like, I think this has something to do with our guy. And he shares that Harris is acquiring skills. Like, he's not just killing these people for no reason. He's acquiring their skills. And specifically, this guy is a card counter, a cheater. And that's the skill that he got from him.
Mm-hmm.
I resent that allegation. Card counting is a skill that gives
it is a skill.
You an advantage.
Yeah.
And
that's totally it. Casinos frown on those
that's
skills.
Exactly.
They don't like it.
The Psi Corps don't allow them to learn to gamble. That's why it was questionable that he knew how to. And that's also how they found out that he had scanned his brain in order to take that skill. It's a skill that they don't have. But they made it very clear that it is a skill. It's not a skill that you should use, but unless you're just practicing math.
Yeah. Practice your math. Keep that very covert. Know when to stop. know when to stop and take home a nice little chunk of change. Don't be going for the gusto. Anyway,
Are you saying to when to hold them and when to fold them?
know when to walk away.
Know when to run.
Right. Yep. So while that conversation is going on, the other body is found, and Franklin is concluding that, yeah, there's no external trauma at all. This dude was murdered from the inside out. He had to have been killed by a telepath. And again, Bester is like downplaying the whole thing. It's like, there's no way that this is our guy. And Franklin is like, why? And Bester's like, well, those injuries that you've reported, those come from a P12. Only a P12 can do that. Our guy Harris is a P10. There is no way he can do that. Then they meet Lee Mebe, and he pulls Ashley aside. He's like, this is really bad. Something's not right. I need you two to kind of chill out. And I mean it this time. I need y'all to wait for me, and I'll be right back. Cause something he like I said, he realizes that this is worse than he's letting on. And not only is Harris a rogue telepath, but there's something peculiar about him, and there's a unique type of danger that he presents.
Yeah.
And so he assigns Lauren to monitor Harris's quarters, and he puts Chin to watch the gambling spots. He's like, look, this one spot is close to them, but there's like a half dozen other spots that they could go. You need to keep your eyes open. So Chin goes by himself into down below, and I don't know if this is down below, but this is like, he goes to where the casinos are, where one of the gambling spots are, and he's walking around, and he's treated poorly because he has his Psi Corps pin blinging. Everybody knows what he is, and the humans, they don't like him. And he goes asking around, and that bartender is just like, it's like, have I seen a telepath down here? Man, I've seen all kinds of stuff. I don't know what the first thing was where he said, like, this thing comes and drinks a 2-finger pour of whiskey, passes out, stone cold drunk, and does it again because they can't really hold their alcohol, but he likes doing it or whatever. And he's like, I've seen a Pac Marat naked. You know that hump on their back? Well, it's not a hump. And he's about to reveal what it is, and Chin is like, look, I'm just looking for this guy. And he's like, I don't think I've seen him. And so he keeps going around looking, and then he finally he sees Harris playing one of the games. And Chin is very smart. He's like, oh, there's the guy. I'm gonna report this immediately. He leaves, he goes to one of those communication units that's on the wall, and he's calling Bester.
A payphone?
Yeah, it's a payphone. It's a pay video phone. That's great. I'm glad you know what? I'm glad you said that, because now that makes me laugh at this a little bit more. They have payphones and newspapers in space. Anyway, as he's dialing out, he gets murdered. Somebody comes up from behind him and stabs him in the stomach, and he dies on camera, which, that's wild. As bad as I talk about these guys, I don't think Chin deserved to be murdered like that, but he's a casualty, and I guarantee you Bester looks at him as collateral damage.
Yeah. Well, he's a victim of the Psi Corps, and now he's a victim of what the Psi Corps did to somebody else. Or somebody else's fear of the Psi Corps.
Yeah. So we end up back talking to Zach about this whole thing. Zach informs Bester about the murder, and this time he is extremely remorseful. He's like, man, I'm sorry that the kid got killed. And this is in contrast to earlier, because earlier when they were talking about the telepath killing people, Zach was showing like no remorse. He's like, I don't care what happens to you people. I'm surprised you ain't dead. And now he's like, man, I'm sorry. And Bester, he takes that opportunity to bite his head off. He's like, look, I ain't here for no crocodile tears. Don't be pretending like you feel any kind of empathy for me. But they exchange information. They look at the surveillance tape, and they realize like the person that killed Chen is not Harris, because the hand is a light skinned hand with a tattoo. And he's like, okay, that ain't Harris. Who could that be? And Bester's like, man, I don't know. Like, we're starting to get a little bit more of the mystery being stacked on here. And it's implicating that there is a second killer. So there's Harris plus somebody who might be his partner. And so we switch and we see who that is. So Harris is in his quarters, and the guy that was the murderer, his name is Bryce. And he's counting money, and the whole thing is basically they are using their cheating skills to make money. So either Harris or Bryce are playing the games, and they're winning all the money. And it's kind of funny because Bryce is like, here's my 15% and the rest is yours. You want to count it to make sure that it's, that I'm honest. And Harris is like, look, if you lied to me, I would know. And you would be dead. I would straight up murder you. And Bryce is like, whoa, come on now. You ain't got to be all that. Just kind of chill out. And then this is where Harris reveals like his plan. He's getting all the money because he's trying to flee Babylon 5. He's trying to go full rogue as a telepath. He doesn't want to go back to Psi Corps. He wants to get out of there. So he has to like play some more games, win some more money. And he says he doesn't know why, but he feels compelled to leave. Mm-hmm. Bester in his office is investigating Harris's papers. And he's looking at him like, this is all strange because all of the papers of his writings look like different handwritings. It's like two different handwritings. And Lauren, who is with him, she obtains a record of Harris's training with his roommate, where they were doing that telepath exercise where they were fighting each other with the probing telepathy. And we see what happens is Harris suddenly snaps, and his roommate is like, hey, I'm sorry, was that too much? And Harris is like really yelling and talking to himself. And his roommate is like, hey, are you sure you're okay? And his roommate and Harris just goes off on his like, he said that he's all right. And this part is what Bester hones in on, and he repeats it. He said, he said, he said. And he's like, what do you mean he? Because he's talking about himself in the third person. Mm-hmm. And so what Bester deduces, this is pretty wild. Bester deduces that Harris is dealing with multiple personalities. And one of his personalities is a P10. That's the Harris that we know. But the other personality is a P12. And he is a strong telepath. I want to focus here for a split second because it is a little frustrating, because this kind of shows our ignorance of neurology and all, and everything that's going on in our brains in the 90s, because you got two telepaths. We got one body, two personalities. One personality has strong telepathy. The other one has not as strong telepathy. Mm-hmm. And they can exhibit different powers. And I kind of feel that leans more on the problematic side. Mm. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to say like, hey, there's a mystery here. But the way that they're doing it, I think it does a disservice to people who do have dissociative personality disorder.
Yeah, but in the 90s that showed that did.
Yeah. And it reminds me of Legion from X-Men, and that also comes across as problematic because all of his personalities have different powers, and he's like the most powerful mutant on Earth because he has all the powers. Yeah. Depending on his personality. So
you said Legion from X-Men. I was thinking about Jean Grey.
And I was thinking about was it Split?
Oh yeah, he had other power. He had different powers and abilities too.
Mm-hmm. What's the other one with I can't remember the show. It's a DC show. With Beast Boy.
Titans.
No, the other one.
Teen Titans.
The other one. It's not Titans. It's and they got
Justice Unlimited.
No, it's a live action.
Oh,
it's very
gosh, what is it? It's I know what you're talking about.
And they're kind of like outcasts, and they live in a house with that toxic scientists that made them all the
Is
way
it
that they
the
are.
umbrella people?
No. It's a DC show, and it's
Can't remember
DC
what it is
characters.
anymore. But they have a character with multiple personality disorder, and each personality has a different power. And there's like 60 of them. And Jane is the one that they like to keep around, but all the other ones protect Jane for some reason.
Um,
But it also
dang.
it kind of portrays their psychic powers based on their personality. Like if one personality has stronger powers and than a different one, that means like someone could, get therapy and come out with the stronger psychic ability, I guess.
Doom Patrol. That's what it is.
Doom Patrol, yes. That's
Yeah, me, I was not gonna let it go. Okay, his ADHD.
I was not.
Like,
Like, what is it? What is it? Yeah. But yeah, and it might be my ignorance of the condition as well, but I just wanted to note, like, there was a lot that we didn't know in the 90s. There's a lot we still don't know, but I feel there has to be something stigmatizing when it comes to saying like, oh, each personality has its own superpowers, and depending on which personality you get, that's the level of power you're going to get.
Yeah. Well, also it does the negative thing they do with this character that was right, technically, if that sentence makes sense, is that within Psi Corps, he ran away so that Psi Corps wouldn't find out that he had multiple personalities, because they don't treat you any better when they find out, which is like realistic.
They treat you decidedly worse, because it's a unstable telepaths, and that's what he would be considered. Unstable telepaths are basically like locked away. They're imprisoned. They're the unsightly relative, and they're like, we need to keep you out of sight, out of the media, so they can leave us alone.
And that is what I see happens with a lot of the conditions of people with this condition, is that one of the personalities is mothering and protecting the others. And the one who's out here killing people don't give no fucks about nothing. It's like, I got mad, you're dead. And the others is like, oh my gosh, like, we need to get to safety. We are all in danger, when the one who is dangerous does not perceive that, because it would just kill any threat that came up against it, but maybe not being aware that it's not always the one present. Yeah, you getting us in trouble out here, bro.
If you want to connect it to some things that we're learning these days, in the 20th century, there were the ugly laws, where it was people who were considered unsightly were pretty much given tickets or fines for being in public.
Whoa.
And so they would, yeah. So people who had dwarfism, any variety of deformities, like mental disabilities, they were kept out of sight. And it was basically for the benefit of rich people. They didn't want to see ugly poor people. And if you were an ugly poor person, you got a ticket or you went to jail. But on top of that, practice was the marginalization of people in your own family who had neurological differences and disorders. That's why when people complain like, oh, we've never had autistic people in our family, it's like, yes, you did. It's just that, in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, y'all locked them indoors, and chained them to like your radiators, or locked them in a room so nobody could see them. They couldn't go to school. And then in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, y'all just kept people who were autistic occupied with like whimsical stuff. You kept them out of sight, out of mind, and you didn't care for them. So of course you didn't see them, because we'd be terrible.
Yeah, the ones who couldn't mask. I don't know if we've ever talked about split brain personality and its connection to like cognitive dissonance, because split brain, one side of the brain can do something where the other one doesn't. And it doesn't know it.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and they're still studying to see if there's a connection between that. But we also know that split brain has it may have a lot to do with cognitive dissonance, that when you are traumatized enough to build a cognitive dissonance at one point, it creates a reaction that's like split brain. And one side that doesn't know the other side, one side may be more aggressive and protective, and the other one may be more protective in a completely different way. Where, like, and I that's kind of, psychology is technically a science, and when it comes to science fiction, there is like a lot of responsibility when dealing with those type of sciences. If we play with like ideas of gravity outside of space or outside of the planet, like, we're not hurting society. But when we play with those things within our social structures, it can change how people see each other. So, like, it would be nice if people could start using these things in positive ways. And then even when we do them in positive ways, like autism is done all the time, maybe Spock is a good, maybe a more positive example of autism. But then you have someone like Rain Man, where everyone expects us to be able to do the highest math.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stereotypes that come out. And then it's like people in the mainstream pick the stereotype that they like, and that's the only example of autism, and then everything else isn't.
So things that when they individual to that character, like Sheldon, so you're a pompous. I was like, no, I just remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of really great development in the education in that area. And I think there's a lot more that we need. Now I will applaud J. Michael Straczynski for even approaching that topic. It's a cool idea for the episode. It's a cool idea for these characters. It could have gone deeper, and who knows, maybe in the future we will get some folks who will explore it with a little bit more fidelity and give us some deeper stories.
Yeah, I do. But he demonized how he was being treated and showing his behaviors as a result of him freaking out because of how they treated him. Which, so even though you're not very accurate about the science, obviously, of what's going on with the brain, you have that sci-fi aspect of him being psychic to kind of fantasize it. And also, he is just showing how society treats them badly and not just showing them as a bad guy.
Yeah. Look, I want to touch on this treatment too. The way this part is concluded, they find out Harris's secret, and then they surround Harris and Bryce with security. They ambush him. Bryce murders a guy. He just kills the security guy, but they surround him. Harris kind of stops, and he's ranting to himself about, I don't know what's going on, but they end up arresting him, and he's in custody. So Bester and, they're all wrapping this up. Bester is threatened by Dr. Franklin about his wound and insists that, hey, you should probably stick around and let that heal. And Bester's like, nope, I'm a tough guy. I got this. I'm going to keep going. And they have some little bantering back and forth. And it was a way for Bester to try to one up Franklin. And I don't think it worked with Franklin. Franklin was just more confused. He's like, and I know what I'm talking about. And so with Lauren, they report that security has agreed to transfer Harris and Bryce to Psi Corps custody.
Which is a gross travesty. Like, what the fluff? You know that Bester don't fuck with, like, the normie people, and that, what did you think he was going to do with them? Like, that's not safe. They don't have no proper judicial systems to, handle the crimes of that individual. Terrible.
Right. We can say, like, they don't have proper judicial system, but remember, Psi Corps is a part of EarthGov, is one of those branches. I don't know exactly how it works, but I guess the assumption is you guys got it. It was your guy that was murdering these folks, and justice is letting y'all figure it out. But they have to know, like, when Psi Corps takes care of things, like, people disappear. That whole case probably just went quiet. It was like, they took care of it somehow.
Yeah,
But
like also like Psi Corps, I thought kind of works under EarthGov, or they completely separate. Because part of me was thinking like, yeah, when they say that they're suppressed, even though they have that system. When Dexter says that they're suppressed, even though they have the whole little culty society, it obviously he doesn't see the cult as suppressing him. He sees the cult as power. So what is suppressing him? Is it the fact that mundanes exist, period? Or is it the fact that mundanes rule Earth, where they live, where he thinks that they should be? Because like it's not so obvious that he's getting commands from some other higher command, but is something else controlling Psi Corps. Like,
I feel like it's a combination. I think, one, because they know that telepaths are still a minority. They probably aren't enough telepaths to take over the government. They probably can do some damage, but after a while they'll be overwhelmed, and then that would make it even worse for telepaths. I do think that he's upset that he has to be subservient to mundanes, and for Bester himself, with his attitude and his personality, he looks down on mundanes, but he knows that right now they're in power. He was called out by Sheridan earlier. It's like, yeah, you guys are just laying in wait until y'all can start your war. Like, that's what you want to do. And Bester's like, what are you talking about? We don't want to do a war. What? What? As far as there's societal oppression. Like, people just don't like telepaths. They don't like them. They don't trust them. Most of the humans in Babylon 5 are Garibaldi. So it's a couple billion of those. There are very few that are like Sheridan.
Or Franklin. Yeah. Like Franklin, he's like, I do not care who you are, why, what. I'm going to take care of you. Like, yeah. I feel sad for anyone who guys like that. Even if they're serial killers, he feels mad. He feels sad when serial killers are killed. Like,
and this goes into, it's a couple of things, like Psi Corps being a cult, because while they're taking these prisoners back to Psi Corps, they're in hyperspace on the Psi Corps ship, and they know what's going to go on. Lauren is like, can I do it? Ambassadors are like,
cool. Yeah. Hell yeah.
And then she shoots bro's body out in the hyperspace. Like, he don't even make it home. This is like, let's get rid of this guy. Which, now that I think about it, did she shoot both of them in the hyperspace?
No.
Because this is where I'm thinking. If their whole thing is like, we got to keep unstable telepaths under wraps. So maybe they just shot out the human, and they're gonna keep the other.
Definitely gonna keep him, and they're gonna find some kind of way to use him for evil.
They're probably gonna experiment on him to figure out, like, how can we make some stronger telepaths?
Yeah, or like also find a way to keep the stronger personality. Like, we've already seen what they did with Garibaldi, like suppressing the aspects of his personality and bringing out others. So they could just experiment on him and turn him into someone that he's not, and just use him for his power and his genetics, because they have to make more psych babies.
Yep. Yep.
Not milking them.
Oh.
That was terrible.
Yeah. But as it's interesting that as an organization, their whole thing is like, yeah, we're gonna straight up murder mundanes when we can get away with it. and we're going to hide what our actual activities are from the public eye. And that's them controlling their image. And they all, like, again, they all seem to be on the same page. This actually is wild because it runs in contrast to the other rogue telepathic group that was on Babylon 5, Byron's group. They had lots of different powers and abilities too. One of them had telekinesis, which is extremely powerful and dangerous, right? But they were not on one accord. They ended up splitting up into two different factions. Even though they were a resistance group, there were those who wanted to be violent and fight to keep themselves autonomous and free. Another one wanted to be nonviolent so they can pressure the system to give them their own home. They were in contrast to Psi Corps. Psi Corps is like, no, we're gonna be in here dormant until it's our right time to strike. In the meantime, we are going to be the exact same because we're space Nazis. We're going to be lockstep in with the rules, our principles, and our beliefs. Because, well, the way to look at it is like ideological authoritarianism. They say core is mother, core is father. And so their belief is in the core. And that is extremely dangerous because people who have these deep fundamentalist beliefs can achieve all kinds of heinous things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they have a callous view of life itself. Like the only lives that they value are telepaths' lives. Everything else is collateral.
And like only to a certain extent, because they care about controlling telepath lives. Like everything else can die, but the telepaths must be a part of our thing.
Yep. And they have to be telepaths the right way, our way.
Yeah. It sounds familiar.
Yeah. That wraps up the episode, but this show is a really good one, and it makes me really wish that this could have been a spinoff, that they could have explored a little bit more of Psi Corps this way, because it was done so well. I think we need to remember this in the future, if and whenever that reboot comes up.
Oh yeah,
when it starts. Like, y'all remember these storylines y'all made, because y'all got some really interesting stuff in there that can work. Again, Captain Lockley is nowhere to be found. but I guess that's okay. So, but yeah. So that's our show. Any last thoughts, Sunday?
Yeah, I really liked the episode. I enjoyed the gambling theme that was put in, of course, and it was very interesting to see someone with the split personalities being a psychic and how they were having to track him down and all. Yeah, I did. I really liked this episode. And I agree with you, Damian. If they were to do a spinoff, it would be pretty cool to see like the development of Psi Corps and maybe even like the different levels, because not all psychics are like Vester, who are trying to take over normies.
But I think what I was trying to point out, there's a contrast, because I think it is the very strict religious-like indoctrination that Psi Corps has versus the revolutionary tendencies of the rogue telepaths. They're like, yo, we want to think for ourselves. We don't want none of y'all.
Yeah. Know? And they can't have that. They don't like that.
Yeah, everybody is like, telepaths cannot be free.
If they can think for themselves, and they can think to invade us.
Right. Exactly. They can take us over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and just reading people's minds without permission too.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah, like Byron's group did that blackmail scheme on the on the ambassadors. Yeah. All right, before we get out of here, I want to correct something. So I know that I've been saying this person's name wrong in a couple of episodes, and I'm looking at the profile right now, and so I want to correct it because I totally respect this actress. Claudia Christian. I kept calling her Christensen, but it's Claudia Christian, who played Ivanova. I think she's a wonderful actress. I've been following her Facebook. I found Tillman's Facebook too. So I've been following a couple of the Babylon 5 actresses, and they're doing some amazing things, and just watching the way that they are engaging with the sci-fi community and keeping their own followings going. I think is great. Y'all remember, these people are out there. They're human beings. They've been through some ups and downs because of, Hollywood and America. But, these are some wonderful people who helped who were there for a number of our formative years as we grew up. And they were great actresses. They depicted some amazing characters and told some fun stories. So, yeah. So I want to correct that, make sure that I'm showing absolute respect. And, Claudia's out there. Go check her out. She got some cool stuff going on in her profile. So I think you would enjoy it. With all of that, let's get ourselves out of here. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Voices in Hyperspace. I am Legendary Black Lion. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Legendary Black Lion. Voices in Hyperspace is on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Keep the conversation going. You can find us at Voices in Hyperspace.
I'm Noah Silent. You can find me at mailsrebellion.com. You can talk to me on TikTok Saturdays at 6 Eastern Standard Time. And you can find my books on Amazon, TikTok, and Lulu.
Lulu!
Yeah, I finally did that. It's the ebook on Lulu.
Nice.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday and you can find me at a poker table.
All right, until next episode, we'll see you out there. Peace.